Hello and welcome to this special interaction with Priyanka Anand, Vice President and Head HR, Southeast Asia, Oceania, and India at Ericsson, where we dive into the world of new age learning strategies, discover how organizations are leveraging innovative approaches to unleash their full potential and navigate the challenges of a rapidly evolving business landscape. Thank you for joining us today, Priyanka. It's a delight to have you.
Thank you so much, Apeksha. Delighted to be here.
Yeah, so Priyanka, let's start with the discussion. And I'd like to understand that over the past decade, numerous factors such as the competitive business landscape, rising complexities, and digital revolution have reshaped the global workforce. So, how should organizations ensure that it is keeping up with these trends?
A very relevant question, Apeksha. So thanks for asking it. It's quite clear based on a lot of our interactions within the industry cohorts, as well as within our organization, these factors that you just mentioned are reshaping the future of work. And not just that, but also the workforce of the future. So it is having a double whammy effect, right? And extremely critical for us as organizations to keep a tap of it, right? And to ensure that we are using it to the best of our benefit. These new trends and their impacts have to be matched, mapped, studied, and kept track of. So to me, I would say that there are three key important things that we are working towards, and the industry is also talking about holistically. One of them is embracing technology. To me, this entire reshaping of global workforce clearly depends on how we transform technology and leverage technology both for the needs of business growth, business acceleration, customer experience, but at the same time, how do we leverage the same technology towards creating and enabling an environment or ecosystem that facilitates hybrid and flexible working? Because to me, that's the most important thing. Once we start embracing technology, then starts to become a bigger access to borderless talent pools, to jobs and roles, to be able to drive the right commitment from the employees towards what we want them to deliver to us as an organization. Second thing I would say is we've got to be agile in the way we're developing HR strategies, HR ways of working, because the times are changing and changing much rapidly than ever before. So what's quite clear is that as an HR function, we need to be creating a very clear narrative when people can see how their jobs are fulfilling their purpose, right? It's just not about the job of what work they do, but it's also about how do we create the right work-life balance and how that starts to fulfill their purpose in a larger context. And how do we enable our employees or people in general to have curated journeys of their career paths? Once we do all of that, and HR is supporting this entire agenda, then we will start seeing employees and people clearly coming towards delivering a higher commitment, loyalty, and a much higher degree of performance towards what we expect them to deliver. And the third thing is investing in a culture of learning and development, where we do everything possible to build new skills, because the global workforce is very curious about learning, growing, and evolving into different career trajectories, right? So how do we create that entire skill taxonomy into the forefront of our business strategy? And especially how do we connect skills to business strategy systematically will be extremely critical in increasing skill-based internal mobility that starts to create wider opportunities for our people. So all this put together, enabling technology, developing agile HR strategies, and fostering a culture, right, of learning is going to be the real proof point for how do we circumvent what the future has to give us.
So thank you, Priyanka, for that. And when we talk about all these initiatives that you talked about, all these areas, a lot of they all pertain to the future of work that we all talk about. So future of work is these things and a lot of more other things. One of the key elements of that is hybrid workplaces. So when we talk about the hybrid structures or hybrid models, how have you embraced learning in that sphere, in that hybrid structure, and what is working for you?
So again, hybrid is the new normal now. So we used to call it as future of work, but that is the way we work today. And embracing hybrid has been one of our biggest strength, I would say, as mankind, because we always felt that work would only happen when people are all sitting in front of us and in the same office space. That's no longer true. So hybrid model has proven in many, many ways that it's the most successful way of leveraging talent and achieving business success. And to To us, the journey of a pioneering and progressive people experience that boosts talent attraction, development, and retention in a hybrid world hinges on building a systematic skills framework, right? Because that's the only way. When we have the systematic skills framework in a hybrid world, it starts to get the best out of all the variables that we have around us. So to me, I think our learning priorities as an industry has to include, number one, investing heavily in an ecosystem. An ecosystem that creates anytime, anywhere learning. It makes learning easy. It enables people to learn skills that will make them effective in their current roles, but also gives them the flexibility to pick up skills that will help them move into roles that they're aspiring to, that they're interested in, that they want to pick up as career opportunities. So this entire investment in ecosystem, which gives flexibility, empowerment, and autonomy to people, is extremely critical to be able to succeed in the hybrid world. Number two will be investing in a culture. It's not just about the technical skills, it's also about the behaviors. How do we create the right cultural mindset where learning doesn't happen on the side, Apeksha? It's extremely important that zero learning becomes zero tolerance, and people make learning a habit that's a must-have, not a good-to-have, and starts to differentiate people who will survive and thrive in an organization versus just go through the journeys, right? So how do we build that right mindset? Culture is an extremely important area as an industry. The third, I would say, is how do we create a business system that these learnings drive profitable business growth by connecting skills to business strategy, and then we prioritize the skills that matter the most for the growth of the people and the company as areas of investment. So to me, personalized learning and development with flexibility, connecting it to business strategy, business growth, and by making sure that employees are experiencing that support, investment, and autonomy is the way to succeed in the hybrid model.
Sure, very well articulated, Priyanka. So, we all talk about Gen AIs and all of those things today, and organizations are embracing the power of AI. So, what role do you think it has in the HR space, and how is Ericsson being the pioneer in the tech and innovation field using AI in its HR process?
So there's always a question about how we can get the best out of HR, right? And they always want more out of less. And the HR to employee ratio is always skewed because you always have many people and a smaller HR organization supporting. And it's quite evident now that we are living in a talent skewed market where people are the rarest commodity and people are spoiled for choices, right? So we really have to be able to beef up the HR value argumentation in ways that people start to see how they can be far higher engaged by the HR function and their line managers to stay committed, engaged, and motivated in the organizations, right? And to be able to do that effectively, HR has to do everything possible to leverage AI a lot more. Again, the journey started a decade back. AI has been into talks in many, many ways, and Ericsson has been in the forefront of how we leverage AI towards delivering a higher seamless employee experience, towards making HR more effective in spending time in areas where human interaction is far more valued, and take away the tactical transactional part of HR to be done by AI so that we get better quality, better use of time, money, investment, and better experience to people because the tactical transactional things are better dealt with by HR. So simple things like candidate screening, selection, recruitment process. We use AI to a high degree where we look at how we can get the profiles sifted, shortlisted, assessments taken. How do we leverage AI for basic level interviews? So a huge amount of investment there. Then the second area where we're using AI a lot more is predictive analytics, as well as making data democratization a big deal, right? Where we get the data in the hands of people who really need to use it. So how do we get HR analytics to make line managers equipped and empowered to make fact-based decisions is the second place where we're using AI. People can generate reports real time. They can customize reports based on what they want. So line managers feel far more empowered and well positioned to take those decisions. Third is where we're looking at employee experience. How do we make sure that repetitive time-consuming processes are done effectively by the use of AI and automation? The last thing I would say is extremely important that we create AI as an area where we are delivering personalized experiences to people, right? So we're also using AI to do all of that. When they come to our help desk with queries, how do we get AI to sift the queries between what requires personal intervention, what can be dealt with basic process information, and that also creates more bandwidth with front-ending people to spend more curated time with employees when they reach out to us. So all in all, we've invested heavily on a multiple technology stack. And as an industry, HR is really looking at how they can get diversity, inclusion, biases, pure selection processes, looking at how do we get transparency in the entire end-to-end life journeys of people by using AI and automation. So it's just the beginning, still a lot more to do, but I just feel this investment will be worth the while when we start to see a much higher human interaction, delivering much higher value to people versus the tactical interactions that we spend some amount of time today doing.
Of course, Priyanka, and all these initiatives and investments boils down to the ROI part of it. So how do you measure the success of your L&D initiatives in terms of their impact to overall company culture and business growth?
Again, to me, ROI is extremely important, Apeksha. So it's important that we start to keep, this whole momentum on in so many ways, where we measure the success of our investments that we are making, and there are decisions that we take to remove the investments in some areas because the ROI is not that strong, right? And where we double down our investments because the ROI is extremely relevant for our business growth as well as people satisfaction. So to me, the most important skill matrix that the industry has to focus on, and we're doing that within Ericsson as well, is the skill shift is becoming a big OKR for us. How are we driving skill shift both vertically and horizontally? When I say vertically, are we increasing the level of competencies and creating more experts in areas of skills that are critical to our current and future success? That's the vertical. And the horizontal is, are we creating more skill repositories and making people more volatile, more versatile with the skills that they can embrace, right? Versus becoming just one skill set individual. Can I be multi-skilled? Can I have more versatility in the skills that I acquire and equip? So this whole skill shift is measured in both the vertical and horizontal lenses, right? And then we start to look at, on a scale of 1 to 4, how deep are we getting or high in terms of our skill expertise. The second I would say is we do lots of culture surveys, lots of skill surveys. We look at skill inventories, we look at skill adjacencies, we look at skill-based internal mobility, and we of course look at the effectiveness of our learning experiences when people give us feedback, which is correlated to the talent investments we made. When they go through learning programs, how has that training effectiveness been measured, and what's the outcome of their performance effectiveness when they go back to the how are we making them more effective, more efficient, more proficient in the areas? And that training effectiveness is also a very important measure of our success, I would say, in these L&D initiatives. And we also spend a lot of time looking at qualitative feedback. So this is all quantitative, but qualitative feedback also becomes extremely important, where we secure feedback from employees, managers, as well as leaders. So a long answer to your short question, but we have multiple lenses towards measuring our L&D effectiveness.
Thank you, Priyanka. I'll just like you to take us a little bit towards the qualitative aspect of it, because we do identify that quantitative is one thing where you can, point and have that real data kind of a stuff at hand. But what about the qualitative aspect? Because I'm sure a lot of, audience here would like to understand that part of measuring business impact out of the L&D initiatives.
Great question, Apeksha. Like I said, qualitative to us is really about investing in something called an open talent marketplace, where we make sure that like I said, we invest in a skill shift. We don't hire people only for proven competence, that they've got to be in roles similar to the ones that we are hiring for, but people with potential. To me, once we make that investment and people see us moving them into roles based on their skill adoption and potential, they start believing in skill investment. Because otherwise, I can keep investing in skill development, but if you don't give me a chance to be in roles where I can take those skills to practice, you'll start seeing a demotivation in employees, right? So to me, this open talent marketplace, where we're hiring for potential and moving people into roles based on their learning experiences and skill adoption, is a very big important qualitative criteria. Second is employee satisfaction, employee engagement in their believing is in our investing in their curated learning journeys. So when they pick up learning, so somebody could be doing system integration today and wants to go into cloud computing, or doing recruitment today and wants to go into leadership development. When we invest in those kind of role shifts and let people decide what they want to do next versus we deciding for them, there's a huge amount of commitment and confidence in the organization's capability of creating those curated career paths. And the third, I would say, investing in our leaders and making sure our leaders are becoming the true enablers of this entire commitment to our employee base, right? So that leaders understand that their job is not just to get the best out of people for the jobs we hire them for, but they get the best out of people through the journey that they will undertake with us. And that would be the third qualitative parameter, Apeksha.
Thank you, Priyanka, for sharing all these valuable lessons and for sharing, in fact, all these insights and very interesting information with us. Like I said, there are going to be a lot of takeaways, practical takeaways for the audience here from this interaction with you. So thank you for your time and for joining us today for this conversation.